Make sure you have it turned down.
It is.
Oh, I like the way that looks. Yeah, you can plug into that extension. You're gonna read it. Alrighty. Careful, please.
I am.
This is another test. As you know, this is where we do. Sure. This is where we do vlog talk. It says not in.
I'm pretty sure I am.
Sorry. This is where we do vlog talk. This is where we do vlog talk. We're just trying to make sure that it will come out good over here if we ever do a live stream, because there's some things that we do want to discuss for vlog talk live, you know, with participants and things like that. That's probably just doing that. But yeah, this is a test. Like I said, this is my first time taking my channel live, and things of that sort. And it's not like when you go live, like with the Hangout, how you can basically invite people in to get on a panel or anything like that. You know, I'm not trying to mimic or copy any other channels, because the other channels are doing a very good job at what they're doing with the views and with the topics and with the open discussions and panel things like that. I just want mine to be for like you know, discussions when we're vlogging.
Yeah.
It can be live. Like one of the things that I want to talk about is the Hutu and the Tutsi, the incident that happened in 1994. That was actually in April. The year I was born. It was not in on the same day, of course. That would have been, it had been the first, but it was in 1994, and there was a genocide. You want to say something? We watched like 3 documentaries on it. There's another documentary that we do want to watch that is concerning the healing and the coming together that both tribes are doing. It was beautiful. I admit I did cry watching that documentary.
Yeah, it was called Through the Children's Eyes, because the majority of the people that survived during that time of the genocide were children. So that was a documentary that was done in like 2014. No, the earliest one was like,
oh, that was 2000.
It was like 2006. The documentary was done in 2006, and it was talking to the children that had survived the genocide, that by now were like around our ages, but then they were still children, some barely 9 and 10, taking care of each other because of the slaughterings that took place, and all the people that were basically trying to that were sacrificing themselves were the parents and the adults sacrificing themselves so that their children could escape. And it was like, now that's why in Rwanda, among the Tutsi and the Hutu, you see that there are a lot of children. It's like there are so many kids and, you know, young people, and it's because during that time of the genocide, it affected a lot of the adults, because the children were being hidden, to spare the generation. It's like, I mean, parents can bring forth the children, but it's like, I mean, if they're older and they've already lived their lives, their mindset was like, well, we have to get this generation, we have to make sure that our lineage stays alive, and it was absolutely it was something to watch. It was something. I mean, having dry eyes was not easy at all. It was it's something to definitely learn. I mean, it is.
And what was the documentary called where they were actually coming together to mend that?
That was a Femble Talk.
Femble Talk.
Yes,
was a documentary.
Talk.
Oh my gosh, it was one of the saddest documentaries I had seen. We were trying to watch it. I mean, it's okay to cry when you watch a documentary, but I was like really trying to be strong for that documentary. I was like, okay, this is for the kids, but no, I just couldn't take it anymore. I started crying because there was a 9-year-old girl. She took care of her. She was about 12. She was 12. She was taking care of her like 4 or 5-year-old sibling, and you see what what basically the conflict caused. I mean, it was genocide for both the Tutsi and the Hutu, and they were actually killing each other. They said there were children. They were telling their children to go kill those other kids that were part of the other tribe, and so now that generation of the children, maybe we're in 2017. They were like 9 and 10 now, so they're probably some of them in their 30s and they're in their late 20s maybe.
Yeah, because
in their late 20s
were still practically babies. I mean, trying to make a living for themselves and.
And you see that some of them still have problems with dealing with the Hutu. The Tutsis still have problems dealing with the Hutu, but the thing is, they had not a senator. They had one of the head people there. I cannot remember his name. It was like a couple months ago. We actually saw this documentary. They had he came together. He said, because we're not looking for people outside of our country to do what we're supposed to do. He said, we're going to mend the gaps to what basically we allowed to go on. They had something that was like confession time. They would have the family that basically had to kill another family's tribe come together, confess what they did, and then with the ceremony, because they still keep their cultural practices, they would do like a dance. And in the dance, you basically dance with the person's family member that the person basically that had to watch their family member get killed was the person that you had to basically dance with. And it was a situation where an uncle, he had to, very disturbingly, he had to do something to his niece or they were going to kill him. And she said that she forgave him. They danced, and he said, well, he was going to basically dedicate his life to looking after her because of the experience that she had to go through, that traumatic experience that she had to go through. You have a gun to your head and somebody's telling you to do this, and you're like, well, I don't want to do this, but this is to basically keep myself alive. And you can always say what you wouldn't do, but if you've never been in that position, you can't speak for those people in that situation, or even for lack of better words, judge them on the situation or the choice that they made, because everybody is different. And with that being said, they did mend the situation. She forgave him, and the smile that was on her face, because she knew that his life was threatened. It's nothing that she wants to remember, but at the same time, they were able to come together and be a family again. No, you cannot erase the experience, but you can go forward and you can make better every day that you have ahead of you. And that's something that I looked at and I was like, these people are working together after having to kill one another. I see situations in the U.S. where somebody stole your bubble gum and people don't want to apologize for that. Oh, you looked at me wrong. Excuse me? These people were made to kill one another.
Yeah, wanting to talk about, a way to resolve the situation. You have people that are like, well, I'll just go and buy me some more gum instead of wanting to sit and talk with the person. It's like, no, if there's a problem, it's like, let's resolve this, and the family talk, which is family talk, they would come together with neighbors, and it was like, because there were people that were afraid to walk on the same paths as some of the same people, because they was like, well, if one of the people that they had seen that had killed someone during the time of the genocide, and they were being put against each other, there was like, if I see somebody walking with a machete, to go and harvest the fruit, that was like, I'm afraid to walk on the same path as someone, because I don't know if they still have it in them, to want to do me harm or do harm to my family. And so they came up with the idea. It was one of the members of the village that he was like, enough is enough. And he was like, the people outside are not going to help, because I mean, you look over there now and their houses are still, basically in shambles. Their lives are for lack of better words, they're miserable. There are people that are over there, they're sick, and they're like, well, if we don't do this for each other, then nobody else will. And it's
let's
sad.
Clarify why they are sick. Yes. They are sick because we've had Europeans, and we've had many people going over there instituting their so-called health benefits over there, and really they're actually injecting these people, our people, with diseases. They're over there testing on them, and then they said, well, the population over here in Sudan, the population over here in Ghana is too high, so let's just put something in here to kind of help kill them out. And I'm just like, this is sick. And the person, even Germans are flying over there, importing, what was it they were importing? The fish that they were...
The genetically modified fish.
Genetically modified fish.
They were calling it a sea monster because of how huge it was due to what they were feeding it. They were basically, like they would intentionally put make sure that the water was radiated to a certain level so that the fish, this documentary... Darwin's Nightmare.
Darwin's Nightmare is the
Genocide.
Darwin's Nightmare genocide?
Yeah, I mean, it was a couple of them that was named genocide.
Fembo's son.
Fembo Talk.
Fembo Talk. Looking through.
It was like Through the Children's Eyes.
Through the Children's Eyes, yes. Those are the 3 documentaries that we've watched, and then there's like a 4th and the 5th one that we want to watch. And the crazy thing about this is when we went to the library to look for these documentaries, it was not intentional that we were looking for so many things that were happening in Sudan and in Ghana, but we were actually just looking for documentaries that basically talked about different African tribes. And in our journey of looking for these documentaries, we saw that all 3 of these documentaries connected from the genocide in 1994, which was when the Hutu and the Tutsi basically had to. Even the Rwandans came together and were killing each other, children killing each other, people being dragged out of their homes, and they said, if you don't kill this individual, we're going to kill you and your family. And one of the men said that they told him that if he did not kill this young man, that he was going to, they told him if he didn't kill his wife, that he was going to die. Now, he has to live with that for the rest of his life. And it's the point where the man said, I have to do this because we have to come together for our people. And this is major. And it's like when I see little things in America that we consider big things, it takes me off, because I'm like, we are not just thriving off the documentaries again.
I can type them out and put them in there for you.
Yeah, she can type them out and put them in there. And it's like we are living off of the wealth of Africa. And so when people ask, they ask me and ask my sister specifically, and they ask us as Ibram, as Hebrews, they say, well, why do you even care about what's going on in Africa? I'm like, do you understand those are people? That even tourism over there takes from them. I don't know if anyone saw that incident that was in where? It wasn't Ghana. Was it Ghana? Where 38 children supposedly died in a bus accident, and the teachers? We saw the wreck. It did not look like that was possible, and that was in an area that was a tourist area. And there's even a brother that's on the live stream sometimes when going on Truthfully Honest show, where we go in other shows, and his name is Philip. His name is Philip. One of his names is Philip. I don't want to mess up his first name. And he said that tourism basically takes a lot of the finances from wherever you're going to go in a tour. Like in Jamaica, I saw that, and even somebody said that to us, that when they go and tour in Jamaica, that does take a lot of the finances. And it's like tourist areas that are basically set apart for tourism. It's like, you're not supposed to come here even though this is your land. This is set for tourism. And that's like one of the most ridiculous things you could ever think. This is our land. And on those documentaries, you get to see just how, it's not that we're trying to perpetuate hate, but you have to be aware of what is going on and what was going on and what's still going on. In 2014, and I believe it was Ghana. You're very welcome.
You're welcome.
And in Ghana, the Americans, it was French, it was even Germans. They were going over there, and what the Africans say, they say, with that specific people, they say, well, they come here and they want to help. They say, we'll make jobs for you as long as you work in them. They made a oil plant in, where was that? Because the Japanese were even working there.
It was a split between Tanzania and Sudan.
And Sudan.
And they were already at odds because the Sudanese people are walking as Muslims. Mm-hmm. The Tanzanians are just like, we need land, we need to live, we need to survive. And you had the Chinese as well as the Italian, Russian, Germans going over there and buying parts of their land and tricking them, tricking the people into selling it. And the man was like, I never signed this. They were taking the land from them. Mm-hmm. Not only were they taking the land, but they are also building airports where they're supposed to be homes. And then it's like when there are no more jobs left because they're putting all the airports out there, the only thing that they're leaving the children and these young women to is prostitution.
Yes.
And they're getting sick and they're dying because of this, and they're trying to make money. And it's to the point to where now some of the young boys have to hide and protect the girls because they're afraid that people will take them at night. And it's like, watching the documentaries, it's like, it's something that is very much needed to know because it's so much going on over there with our people. It's like they are still a part of us. And it's rough in America, but you look at them over there and it's sometimes difficult to watch it. And I'm not trying to keep dry eyes, but like you get like fiery and frustrated because it's like, and it's like our people over there, they're so generous.
Yes,
it's like they're so sweet, and that's what they said. It's like if they want to build, it was like, well, it's our land. We want to help other people.
Yeah.
But it's like if only they could see how what's the word I'm looking for? How thank you. How deceitful the people are, taking advantage of them.
And taking advantage of the need for jobs over there.
Yeah, they don't care, and it's like, I mean, bringing attention to this, it's like, I mean, a lot of people want to shun it to the side and make big deals about other stuff that's really
not relevant.
It's not relevant at all. It's like our people are over there suffering, and they have land that is theirs but is being taken from them because honestly, they don't understand their rights anymore.
Yeah.
They don't understand. And they make them, what they like to do with the people over there is because they can't read American. Some of them can't read the American writings. They'll make them feel bad and make them feel like, well, you are the lower species, you are the lower culture because of your color, because of, how you speak, because, or it's like, they're, what do they call them? They call them, not so much savage, like what they call them.
They call them primitive?
They say it like they're primitive. It's like, they have this
still backwoods living, they're
know.
not updated, they don't have the technology we have.
And that is not true.
That's not true. But even in the areas where they don't want that technology, I mean, you can kind of understand why. I mean, nobody wants the generation of what, I mean, no offense to American teenagers, American young women, young men in that sense, but nobody wants a cop-out of what is going on in America to be going on in the homeland. Nobody wants that part two in Africa. I mean it's happening in some places, but not everybody wants to basically have this American dream for a lifestyle. And that's why Europeans go over there and they can't understand it. They squat on the land, they take the land. Even another movie that we saw that is based upon what scenarios that are going down in there is called Disgraced. Yeah. It's about basically Europeans moving and settling into South Africa. They go over there, they stayed on the land for years and years, and what happens is the Africans are like, you know what, this is our land and we've kind of had enough of you. We've had enough of you sitting here thinking that you can just do whatever you want to do. And it's like, if you're still on the land, it's like if you're somewhere where this land or this property was not this is not your birthright home, I'm living here because I moved here, I assimilated here. You can't basically walk around with the air like, oh, this is mine. And that's what the people did in the movie. And so...
And even with South Africa, they call it like the white Africa. Because that's the part that a lot of the Europeans, the British, the Germans, when they moved there, they basically was like, well, we'll take South Africa and y'all can take, the other part of Africa. And it's like, okay, all of Africa was ours. So it's like, how can you... divide what's ours and say, well, we're going to take this. It's like, that's like going into somebody's house and saying, well, I'm going to take the living room. Yeah. And you take that side of the house. Let's see how well that works.
This is not an agreement. It's almost like somebody moving in and it's like, well, I'll stay in the room. You let them stay in the room. You say, okay, now this is my stuff. This is your stuff. And then after a while, you kind of get relaxed with them staying there. And they're like, okay, I'll take your boundaries over. Then they move into your room.
Yeah, they're moving your boundaries. Like, well, look, you take that little room over in the corner. And it's like, I'll take the rest. Since it's like, you can't handle that. You don't really know what to do with it. It's like, you're not doing it right. So I'll show you how it's supposed to be done.
And especially if you're bringing in money. Like, well, I'm bringing in money, so I deserve this. That's basically the same mindset that people take when they go over there. And my thing is, like, even if you have to start a small foundation, even if your foundation just starts off with awareness, with telling people what is really going on over there. Even like books I've read, they're supposed to be, they say fiction novels, stuff like that. No, even the books that I've read still point back to America, stealing the resources from Africa, leaving them in the state that they're in. The greatest diamonds, everything, jewels, is thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. Absolutely. This is our first FAFSIS's Vlog Talk live stream. We were just testing it because I came across this beautiful app from two of the people that I'm subscribed to, Suave Boss and Emu. And I thought it was a great way for us to be able to have a vlog talk live so we could actually see the feedback. And I think this app is amazing. And we can't really see your name, but we thank you so much for tuning in. But I almost lost my train of thought. Oh goodness.
You were talking about I lost your train of thought.
We were talking about okay. Then we're talking about okay. We'll talk about South Africa. Talk about them taking over the land.
The books you were reading.
The books. Thank you. Even the books that I was reading. You see, the government has a game that it really does like to play for over here in America and for over there in Africa, where they sign certain treaties and even they basically have certain agreements to terms of things they will do and things they won't do unless it's beneficial to them. That's the thing about America. Basically, it only helps people when it's beneficial to itself, and that's not the way that we as a people ought to act or ought to operate. I'm only helping you because it's going to help me. No, you are my family. We are a village. This is what it's about. That's what Africa is even about. Being a village, the unity that you see is beautiful. The places that have not been tainted, of course, with
the book
European influence.
There's the old book that's based off the African proverb where it says it takes a village. Where it's like it took the whole village looking after, one child, meaning it's like, not that the Ima, the mother, couldn't do it on her own, not that the papa couldn't do it on his own, but it's like it takes all of us understanding that, if my eyes can't be on, my child, it's like I need to be able to trust someone, way down the way to be able to say, look, your child was over here with me. I just want you to know, that they're fine, everything's cool, and, it'd be okay. But it's like, because of the way things have been to where it's like they want us to look at each other as enemies and always be at each other, feeling like at each other, basically at war with one another. If it's not because of shade, then it's because of where you're from, how you talk, how you dress. It's like
the shape of your head.
Anything you do, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, just from the shape of your head. I mean, when we were younger, had there was a girl that wanted to be friends with my sister. It was like 7 and 8. She wanted to be friends with my sister. And she basically was saying, she wanted to be friends with her because her head was shaped different, and was saying that my head was small and they could be crushed like a grape. And I was like, why would you say something like that? I was like, I mean, you're just pointing out something to basically make me want to be your enemy. Yeah. And it's like, you're just pointing out stuff that doesn't make sense. And that's how it is now. It's like making us enemies. It's like, instead of looking back, and it's like, it takes a village. It takes us all being able to take care of one another. We have to get back to that place of unity. It's like, they still have that mindset in certain places, but then it's like, with the facade that the different things on TV, I mean, that's what's like TV sometimes it's just, it's not necessary. It's not necessary, honestly. It's like nothing on there is meant to help us as a people. It always puts us as the ones that's, arguing and bang at each other. It never has us as being, like we can work together. It's like we're always enemies, and it's like that's not true. That is not true at all. And it's like then we have to break that stereotype. It's like we have to break that facade where it's like, well, we're supposed to be like this. We're supposed to be at odds with each other. No, that's not how it is. We should be able to be in the same neighborhood and come together and help. And build and be able to, help raise someone's child. And it's like, well, I have something I have to take care of. It's okay. It's like, let your children come and be with us. They'll be fine. We'll feed them. We'll take care of them. It's like, well, I have to go and do this. I can keep an eye on your house, I can watch after your vehicle. I can do this thing, I can take care of you. It's like, it takes a village. It takes us being able to understand that mindset and be able to keep that and understand that, that has not died out. That's not gone. It's just we have to fight through the years and years of degrading images that have been put before us where it'll make us, be enemies. It's like, you're not my enemy if you're brighter than me. You're not my enemy if you're darker than me. There's nothing wrong with your skin. Say there's nothing wrong with, the way your hair is if it's natural. And even if you are someone who has a perm, they're not healthy, but I'm not still going to make you my enemy because you have your hair like that, Oh,
yeah, they do that. I mean, there are different ways basically for your European influence to try to make us come and like, well, you have this or you have that. And I'm not just blaming on basically European influence, because once you know better, you do better.
Right.
Once you know better, you can do better. Yeah, and I look at all the great examples that we have. Dr. Welsing, she's a very great speaker. I think she passed in, 2009. One of the things, her quotes that is so powerful, that she said, I won't stop until I teach, her quote is, I won't stop until I allow the melanated young man, young boy, woman, female, male and female to love themselves. That was her mission, and that was her goal in life. That was one of her goals in life. That's not selfish. That is selfless. She said, because that's her will. I mean, that's one of her goals in life, to let us know that when we look in the mirror, that we're not looking at something that's shameful, but we're looking at beauty. We're looking at something that's natural.
Yes.
And, you know, we've been taught for so long that we aren't a people. You know, we've been taught so long that if you have natural hair or it's nappy hair or something like that, I'm like, if you have hair without rubber bands in it, if you have your sides out and they're not flat down, that's your natural hair. That's your natural state of hair. It's like if you wake up, that's your hair. That's not ugly. That's just its natural state. Now it's different if you go in the bushes somewhere and you know you get entangled around everything and you come out. That's not natural. That's basically that happened because you got tangled in the woods. But no, there's a difference between natural hair. And people feel like there's a certain natural that you have to look like. There's a certain brown that you have to be. No, that's a stigma that if we're not careful because of what's basically put on TV and what's portrayed before us as the supposedly iconic or the idealistic melanated person, we'll get stuck in that too. And that's not it. We're not working so much on the outside for the inside, working on the inside for the outside. You have to work on the external. Then you have to work on the internal, and then from the internal, when it changes, you understand that the external will change. You understand that you don't see a flower until the seed has been planted and the roots take in the ground. They eat the soil, or they take in the nutrients from the soil. The water comes in, helps it to replenish, beautiful, and it buds up because you have to understand there is a growing and a developing process that we have to go through. And all the time, people may not be able to see it right off, but they say something different. You're growing. There's something changing about you. Yeah. You don't see basically a seed turn to a flower the next day. It has a process. And the thing is, we have to understand we can't be afraid of the process because it can't happen overnight. Somebody said, well, we can stop racism overnight. And I was like, you do understand that racism isn't basically just on our part. You have to understand that there's a economic struggle. There's a mental struggle. There's a struggle all around because one, they try to make, like Omar Johnson said, economic castration. That means that we don't have a lot of franchises, or we do. I know now in 2017 that we do have more melanated businesses coming up.
Yes,
but
right.
If you keep us from owning anything, we're only the people that buy. We're only those that basically give out, and we don't have anything to be self-sufficient. We don't have a lot of businesses or anything like that, and that's what they try to basically make sure that happened to us as a people. They're trying to make that still happen in Africa. And there's so much talent and there's so many natural resources in Africa. They're like, if we don't have it over here in America, we'll go and take it. And so that's why we basically look and say their struggle is our struggle. Because as long as you basically now if you're ignorant to the fact about that America is basically thriving off the resources of other countries, then until you know, you really aren't accountable for it. But when you know and then you still walk with this air like they deserve what's happening to them, that's when you basically are in that very that's ignorant and that's arrogance, because there are children over there that basically have to raise themselves because of the things that have been forced upon them. Disease, AIDS is very high there, because not because they're just sleeping around with everybody. No, because these things have been injected in them, because we have Christian organizations going and supposedly taking the medicine, taking them aid, and it turned out to be AIDS and diseases and things like that. Vaccines, we already know hands down, vaccines is the disease. They grow these vaccines on dead animals. For those that do not know, vaccines are grown and they are produced on dead animals. There's a bacteria that they have to put on the carcass of an animal to let it grow. I mean, we understand that we have antibodies because antibodies come in and they basically kill the disease, or they basically fight the disease for you. And there are fruits and vegetables and even meats that you can eat to build up that. You know, not a shot. A shot's not going to do that.
Not medicine either.
No, not medicine. Your medicine is in the garden. That's where your medicine belongs. And until you can do that, it's best to go, to your local, not grocery store. Find a farm. Find a melanated farm that you can go. And there is a farm actually in Atlanta.
Yeah, they
Augusta.
have different
Geechee Farmers.
They have different locations, depending on where you are, that you can access it, or even be able to basically call and order, and you can be able to, find ways to be able to get it, where it's healthier for you, because that was something else that caused the children to be like that. They're basically having to eat the scraps because everything that was good, that was rich, coming from the land, from the meat, the steaks, the way they would cut it, to the way they would cut the fish, they would only leave them with... They would leave them with the head and the tails of the fish. How can you feed a village of people with 100 fish heads and fish tails? What are you going to do? Give everybody a little spine piece? That's how they do. They went and they would rob it. And so it's like, from the way they would eat to the way their health is, their water is dirty there. There was like children, people were losing their children because all they wanted to do was get a drink of water from the pond, which was once clean, but because of air pollution, because of all the machinery they're taking over there, and poisoned the water. They said they were losing their livestock, people were losing their children, people were losing family members, and being, becoming really sick, and they couldn't grow anything because our bodies are like how plants are. Plants need clean water. Plants need, clean areas to grow in. Our bodies need clean water. Our bodies need clean food. If we don't get that in the right amount of it, then, we'll die. And you see them, you may not die right off, but it causes their bodies to wither and their bodies to basically start losing the function. Yes, it works against the antibodies that's supposed to be there. It's like you have so that you can eat, as you were saying, the things that you can eat that builds, the antibodies to help fight. System. Yeah, it helps to build your immune system. But if you're eating things that's working against that, or if you're not eating anything at all because you don't have anything, you can't build anything up. Yeah, exactly. Like you can't build anything off of nothing.
But shout out to the people that are going to Africa and different parts of Africa that are making something happen down there. Like even one of the brothers, his I think his YouTube name is Africa Network, and him and I think 5 others were going to go to Africa, and they were going to go and help with the water, help with the filtration system. I think to make sure that in certain areas they had clean water down there. So there are people going down there understanding the struggle. They see the struggle, and they're not just trying to make it. They're not trying to shout it out, oh, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. No, that's what the people that see them doing a good work, that's where you come in, and that's where we come in and say, this is what they're doing. They're not tooting their own horn. They're getting basically the support that they need. And so with that being said, there are people out there that are making a difference, but awareness is one of the things. That's one of the keys, being aware of it. Because if you're not aware, you can't know, and you cannot be charged for something that you don't know. But like I say, once you know better, you can do better. Much better. And so that's basically what we wanted to discuss about. Like I say, we're just doing a test, and it turned out good. Turned out really good. So yeah, the time is 5:37. We have Torah empowerment tonight. So we won't be on too much longer. We won't be on past 6. But it is 5:37. But it's something that needs to be talked about.
It is.
Can you share it in your phone? It's something that needs to be talked about. It's something that should never be overlooked because we say, well, we're not there, we're not them. But it ought to be something that we always look at, and information that you can glean from. Oh, it looks so nice like that. But information you can glean from, information that you can say, well, now that I know better, you may be able to do something about it. Not everybody has the finances right off, or the ability, or even the time right off. But if they know somebody who's doing something, then they can be like, hey, I can sow towards this, or I can connect them with that one, and that's what it's about. That is really what it's about, and being aware, watching these documentaries, and even looking at the different books. I wasn't even looking for it, maybe intentionally. Maybe I was, maybe I just didn't really know, but I'm always looking for something that's pointing back to our people, pointing back to the struggle and what has happened, why this has occurred, and what can we do? Like, even the least bit you can do is still doing something. Because I have a love for children. We have a love for children. And it's like watching that documentary, I was getting teary-eyed at things that happen to the adults. But it's like children. They're infants. And just watching it, and I was like, they have to live this lifestyle. And you wake up sometimes grumpy and, well, I wish this was this way. But then you have to think, somebody has a struggle that's greater than my struggle. Their struggle isn't you can't find your other shoe. Their struggle is they don't have shoes. Your struggle is, I don't know how to style my hair. I have to cut my hair because of bugs. Their struggle is always going to be 5 times worse. So, like I said, before you even get up and you think about your struggle, just remember that somebody out there is struggling worse than you. Not just somebody, but your people.
Yeah.
Your people are struggling worse in many different areas. And awareness is one of the things, and looking at the things that have transpired down there, it really is sad. Germans going down there, taking their fish, taking their women, taking advantage of them needing the money to take care of their abbas and their imas. They go down there and they do that, and
they leave them to where they have no kind of education. They can't afford to learn, so they have to try and teach them as much as they know, which for a lot of the teachers is not much because they're so busy trying not to be sick and take care of the children. It's a struggle for them because they barely know, enough to be able to teach children, but still they're like, well, what I have is still enough to be able to pass on to them so they can still understand. And they have the little classes where they have them set up, they have the little boys in a different area and the girls in an area. And they were still, teaching them just to kind of, trying to keep teaching them the basics. They don't really understand money. They don't really understand how to combat the ways that the foreigners are taking over there to them. And the way that they easily get them is through paperwork. They don't understand the paperwork that's being, put before them. So it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? They feel like they don't have any other choice but to accept it. And, it's sad that they feel that they have to, they basically corner them in that manner because it's like they don't know as much as they need to know at the ages that they are. And some of them are like, well, why should I even bother with school? If it's not going to get me anywhere. You have those that's like, well, if I can learn, if I can raise enough to become a doctor to help my people, that's what they want to do. It's like, if I can raise enough to be able to get, the children out there off the streets, it's like, and be able to put them in a home, they feel like that's enough. And they have issues out there. It's like, not only are they struggling with being, uneducated, sick, they are also having to worry about the children out there on the streets being addicted to the chemicals that they can inhale and get high off of from the plastic bottles, from the glue, from anything out there that had to be manufactured, basically, like the bottles, the plastic, the foam, anything out there that they can basically get high off of, they're getting high off of it. I'm not talking about 13-year-olds, not 14-year-olds. These babies are like 5 and 6 and 7 and sometimes even younger than that. They don't have anything else, that they can do but get high off of glue and water bottles because of the chemicals that's in the plastic. It leaves me wordless for a while and for a minute because it's like, really been able to understand that those children are out there and they say, if I could live a better life, they said I would. He said if I could take, the oldest one was like maybe 9 or 10. He said he's like we're not doing anything out here, but basically he's like getting high. He's like, we're trying to get him off of it. He was like, they do it every now and again, basically to try and ease the pain of knowing they have nowhere to go and of knowing basically that they don't have anybody. They don't have parents or blood siblings out there. It was like, I'm trying to do something. He was like, it was like with the younger ones, he was like, with the younger brothers, to make them do better. He was like, make them want to go to school, make them want to learn and be better, instead of being out there and you see them like from the cloth on the ground, like they can find anything out there and get high off of it because there's nothing else out there for them because everything that's meant for them has been taken away by people who are selfish, who are devious, who are deceitful, and they come with promises and they come with tidings of joy, but really all they want to do is take away from our people and see us basically at the bottom. They don't want to see them prosper because it's like, if you were really wanting to better, our people, it's like they could do it. They would do it. It's like, but that's not what it's about. It's about I.
The other documentary with the Frenchman going to visit
We Come in Peace.
We Come in Peace is another documentary. We Come in Peace is another documentary. I really didn't even notice how many documentaries we had looked into and we even watched, but when you look at it, you just see that most of the documentaries are about the repairing process. And I'm just like, there are many beauties, vast beauties, of Africa. There really are many. But the whole thing is now is them basically repairing themselves from American influence and American infiltration of their goods. Basically, that's basically what they're doing, is repairing. And I look at that versus what America is doing. Now, there are many people here implementing programs, doing things for the youth here. Turning houses over in the ghettos, basically making sure that families can have homes that are beautiful and affordable. Yeah. But it's just like, I see there's still more that can be done. There's still more that can be added on, and still more that can be just implemented to help us to get to that place, or start getting to that place of development and maturity. Because it really gets sad, as maturing people, and even as young ladies, we're not ashamed to say it, as young ladies in our 20s, our whole thing was to inspire. We had even been talking about vlogging, or talking about just basically magazines and things like that as sisters for some years now. Yeah. But we had never really gotten into it. We didn't doubt ourselves. It was just like, well, we're gonna plan this. It was in the summer, I think 2 years ago. We were about to go to Myrtle Beach for.
That was almost 3 years ago.
Oh no, that was 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago, and we were planning this. We didn't know it was going to turn out exactly like this, because we had other plans in mind. Actually, yeah. Not like this, but thank y'all that he did. He opened up our eyes. He awakened us, and it was like, we want to do things for the girls. We need to do this, and in the summer, make a song for the girls, and even just make a song for our people and stuff like that. But it wasn't basically as focused for the melanated people as it is now. Yeah. It was like, well, we're going to do this and do that. But then when we started really basically learning ourselves, looking at the documentaries, and even looking at just taking a look at our own lives, it was like, wow, look at where we started from and look at where we are now. And I would say 3 years ago, I don't think I would have been trying to be on YouTube doing anything live. I'm like, YouTube, no, I don't want to be on there. No, I don't want anybody seeing us, But with experience and things like that, confidence grows in yourself and who you are, and and just the greatness that really does lie in us as a melanated people. It basically awakens you to this light and this beautiful sensation that I am somebody. People wonder why are the children in the ghettos doing this? Because they were made to feel like they weren't anybody. Yeah. They were made to feel like they were less than a human. And so that's why we see all of this, brothers and sisters hating each other. It's what the Germans did in Africa. It's what they did. They told them, they said, the lobe of the front part of your head is flat. It means you're intelligent. Then they told the other tribe, well, the back of your head goes further back, so you must be more intelligent. And they said, well, if we're intelligent, they're intelligent. And when they came in, they basically stepped in and made them fight each other.
Because they had already known if they were to try and go, take up arms against our people, it would have been over. It's like, what better way to come against the people rather than to divide and conquer?
Mm-hmm. Make them kill themselves.
The way our people act sometimes now. There was a saying in the second Narnia when they were asking, why weren't the trees talking? It's like, why is it that those different creatures, not that we're creatures, but it's like, why are the creatures not talking? Why are they not treating us like how they once did, happy and laughing, we're all dancing, we can eat and sit at the same table, with the bear and the lion. And one of the guards in it said, he said you get treated like an animal long enough, he was like, you'll start to act like one. Yeah. And that's what they did to our people. They started treating us like animals for so long that it's like sometimes that's all our people really were able to react to was like, the first response is attack, or the first reaction is to attack or be aggressive, because they feel like, well, somebody's trying to come and take something from me, somebody's trying to change who I am and what I'm doing. And it's like they feel like they have to take up arms against their own people, because it's like, well, our people have always been our enemy. It's like, no, we have not always been enemies, and we're not even enemies now. I wouldn't dare say that we're enemies. It's like, you cannot like me, but that does not make you my enemy.
It doesn't make you my enemy.
It does not at all make you my enemy. It's like, I don't even have to know you. It's like, but I don't have to know you to feel your pain when something's wrong. It's like I don't have to, have been with you for like 12 or 13 years to feel emotional when I see somebody has lost their child, to see that a melanated person has lost a sister, a brother, or their parents. It's like I shouldn't have to feel like, well, I don't know them, so I don't care. It's like, no, every time I see something like that, my heart, it literally it hurts for them, because it's like these are our people, and then it's like they want help, but then they're also afraid of help because they don't know if they can trust their own people or not. And it's like that gap needs to be bridged. It's like, I know it's going to take time, and it's going to take communication, it's going to take community, a common unity amongst our people, a common grounds, a common mindset, amongst our people to want to make a change. It's like, if you don't want to change, I can't make you change.
Thank you.
But people that want to have a change, it's like we can make change. And so we have to bridge those gaps. We have to move those boundaries and basically show ourselves friendly to one another. I'm not saying be foolish and just walk up to somebody with a gun and say, I want to be your friend, give me a hug. And say, no, that's not what I mean. It sometimes takes tough love for some people because of all that they've experienced. It's like, okay, well, all they know is aggression. It's like you have to show them, stern in a stern way, in a aggressive way. Not where it's like you have to, jack them up against the wall. And that's where you have to fight them or, basically brawl them out. But it's like where you can show them, it's like, no, I'm not afraid of you because I can see that you're hurting. I can see that you have generations of hate and hurt going on, right now in you. It's like, I understand what that, what that is. And it's like, you don't have to look at me as being an enemy, because it's like I was never meant to be your enemy. It's like this is not what we were put in this world to be. We were not put to be enemies amongst ourselves, basically to kill each other out. That's not what that was. That's not our purpose in this world. And there is greatness to us as a people, and fighting amongst each other is not one of the attributes that we have. That is not. That is something that was stirred up over time because of things that were inputted, generations of generations of indoctrination, honestly, brainwashing, of basically whispering into the ears of people, telling them you're greater than this person because you look like this, or I'm gonna treat this individual like that because they look like this, and well, you can't come and be a part of my group because you're not bright enough. You're not pretty enough. It's like your eyes are not small enough. Your eyes or your teeth aren't, the right way. It's like the simplest things can end up making us become enemies.
The simplest things.
And that's not how it should be. That is not how it should be. How they had in family talk. They learned to put their differences aside. They came together. People argued. People cried. And people were on their knees basically begging. It's like, please forgive me. That's like what I did at that moment. That was like, I understand now that it was wrong. They knew then it was wrong, but they have, like, when you're in a place of a crippling fear, it's like, and you feel like the only thing you want to do is basically plead for your life. It's like, anything I can do to survive. People sometimes take that mindset in that moment. They were on their knees begging. It's like, if they can do the same thing in these villages where they are still struggling and fighting to come back up, and they are still to this very day suffering. Yes, they are getting better. I have seen where in Ghana they are doing better, where they have farms over in Rwanda. I have seen some news even of those in Tanzania and Sudan where they are doing better, but it's like there are still areas where they are still struggling. It's like the battle is not over yet. It is, getting better, but it's not over yet. And so there is still, major work that we can do to help, our people over there. It's like even being aware of what's going on, how we can help over here, that matters. Knowing what can we do and how can we, help even by bringing awareness to this. It's like you may not be able to go back and forth to Africa, to the different areas that's over there. It's like, but being able to bring awareness to what's going on to the children, what's going on with the children, what's going on with the women, the young men, the elderly, what's going on with the older heads, with their land and their property, generations, of property owners, like what's going on and what's, been taken from them wrongfully. If we come together, we can make a change, bringing an awareness to this. Yes. And I believe it with all my heart that we can make a change. I mean, I know within my heart that we can do it, and make a change. It just takes us coming together with in a common unity to want to make a difference and bring awareness to such things as the situations, pointed out in the documentaries. And so
it takes maturity too.
Yeah.
Like taking the focus off of arguments I mean, granted, you know, like it's something, I guess, not human nature, but it's something that, or nature maybe that was taught. Because there's a such thing as taught behavior, even babies taught behavior, to where you want to be right. You know, I'm not the person that always want to be right, because there's some situations you've seen I'm like, please let me be wrong about this. Please let me, you don't want to be right in every situation, but there's some people, no matter what, that want to always be right. And humbling yourself and coming to a point of maturity is a key factor. I mean, I look at it, even being in our 20s, our parents teach us, you know, that I mean, they're not saying you have to act like an adult, you know, 24/7. I mean, you are who you are, and that's who you're going to be. Your attributes and your characteristic, right, that's all different from basically just you know, saying you can't act like a kid again. No, you're an adult, but it doesn't mean you can't have fun. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Even though you're a kid, it doesn't mean that you have to act like you're foolish. You know, there's some things that you're going to be learned in, that you're going to understand how to be able to handle situations, and that doesn't mean that you have to negate games and acting like a kid. No, it just means you have to know responsibility.
Exactly. From
playtime. That's a whole different thing. That's a whole different ball game. And everybody has to be on this, because guess what? Children in Africa, certain children in Africa, they don't get to rest and be kids. They have to grow up already being in the adult status. Not adults basically mentally, but they're in the adult status because they have to take care of, hey T-Duck, what's up? They have to take care of, they have to take... No, this is my little sister Yasmin. This is the one that I bring on the show with me when she comes and supports us, Sissy. It's good to have you on. But there are a lot of things that you can do to be aware, and it's like when I see the bickering and fussing, and when I see that people can't basically come to a point where they agree, it's almost like there's something better that we can do. You know, ever since I was younger, I was like, there always has to be a way to resolve a situation. Ever since I was younger, you know, and that's good. Thank you for joining. We're just talking about we're just basically talking about some different things and different documentaries, as you see through the comments, where we're talking about documentaries that we had watched, some things that are going on in Africa that are still very well going on, things how basically the U.S., a lot of basically our success basically is off of the goods and off of the natural resources of Africa. We're talking about some of the documentaries that we had watched, some of the ones that we still have to watch, and even we'll go back and watch, and basically how basically our people know how to resolve situations. Fambo Talk is where those of the Hutu and the Tutsi came together after the genocide in 1994 in April, when basically the Germans came in and divide and conquered our people, which is also correlates with the movie Hotel Rwanda. If you watch that movie, you'll understand that a lot of those events and that was based on a true story of what happened, the mass murders of those people there, of the Rwandans, the Hutu, and the Tutsi. Sorry, it kind of gets mixed up, but that movie does correlate basically with what we're talking about, Hotel Rwanda. Even the one Disgraced, that is a movie / documentary, because it's based on basically on true events that happened there, and the different documentaries that we put in the chat.
Yeah, just bringing awareness to what's going on and what's taking place. You know, what took place and what is currently taking place in the lives of those of our people that are over there. You know, in the different areas from Tanzania to Sudan. The issues, Ghana, the issues that they're struggling with right now, due to foreigners going and taking what's theirs, misusing it, lying them, basically they are blatantly tricking them into giving up their land, and
yes, our people are.
Our people, they don't give up. They're still flourishing in the different areas. They're still fighting, you know, to survive. I mean, you see the children over there are still, they still have hope of, you know, growing up and being doctors. They still are over there, and they have a hope to grow up and be scientists, you know, to be teachers and to be able to help people, to be travelers, you know, to go different places and make a change, you know, in areas that they desire to make a change in. It's like our people, we are a strong people.
Yes,
even though we've gone through, our people have experienced a lot and are still going through a lot. Our people are very, we're very strong. We're a strong people.
Yeah.
But together we are even stronger. You know, there is strength in unity, you know, having a common unity. It's like even if we don't agree on everything, it's like we can still, you know, agree to disagree. Like we can disagree agreeably on certain things. It's like we may not agree on that. It's like, okay, well that's fine. It's like you have your views, I have mine. I'm not gonna try and force you to see things the way I see them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we've been able to still stand, you know, with each other and say we don't agree on that, but we can keep moving forward. You know, it's like having something that we don't agree on. It doesn't make us enemies.
It does.
You know, there are things that me and my sister don't agree with. You know, certain things. You know.
Yeah.
We have disagreements, but it's like it does not make us an enemy, you know, to one another. It does not, you know, cause issues. It does not stir up strife.
Yeah.
But it just shows that we're unique. We have different views. We have different opinions, you know, and it shows that we have different opinions, and we can still be able to come on a common ground, you know, and still be able to disagree agreeably without having to be an argument. You know, it's like if we have to have kind of a, I won't say a heated fellowship, but if things get to where you get angry and like you sometimes like just have to, it's like I just have to share this to where, you know, I am angrily sharing this, you know, we can be in a place to understand. It's like, you know, I can, you know, I hear you. It's like I feel your anger. I like, you know, I feel, you know, what you're experiencing right now. Like, I mean, you have people that sometimes, like, all they do, it seems like they're just so angry. So, you know, if they weren't so, you know, angry and weren't so, you know, negative, it's like I'd be able to listen. I listen through the anger, you know, I listen, you know, you said if you just take the time to really listen to people that share things, you know, when they're angry, it's like you get to see they have so much emotion. Like, not everybody shows emotion through crying when things make them mad. You have people that get mad to the point to where it's like, they are so emotionally tired and hurt that it's like all they want to do is argue.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes all you have to do is you know, it's like once you fight through the swings that they're throwing, it's like I understand. It's like now that you're calm, it's like, you know, let me embrace you, you know, with my words. Like let me be able to comfort and help you, you know, while you're hurting and while you're emotionally upset, because it's like, I mean, trust me, you see things and you hear things, and it's like I got to the point to where it's like, you know, there were documentaries we watched. I cried. I just couldn't hold it. I was like, because it's like, it doesn't make sense for for people to go to another people's land and do as much destruction and cause as much chaos as they have caused to our people's land. And then to still see the resilience of our people, to still see how strong our people are to fight back. It's like sometimes like it makes me so mad, because our people too can be so, like, they're open and they're over there, they want to help people. It's like, well, if we help you and it's going to help us, it's like, well, as long as we can help, that's what we want to do. And people see that and they just take their open arm welcome as a reason to sucker punch them, you know, like lunchboxing them basically for the goods that they have. It's like they're opening their arms and saying, well, we welcome you here. If you want to build an airport, they say go ahead and build an airport. If it's going to help you, you know, do what you need to do, we'll help. And it's like, and they take their kind gesture and they basically slap their hand out of the way and say, okay, well, now that I'm here, this is how I'm going to do things. There was in the documentary, and We Come As Friends.
We Come As Friends.
There was a European, was it like a construction?
He's a journalist, and are you talking about the one with the daughter?
Yes.
Oh.
Construction worker. He was a European construction worker, and he basically was plotting out on some of the, I think they were Tanzanian, some of the Tanzanian people's land, where, what was it? It was like 5,000 acres.
I think so.
He had like 5,000 acres, if I'm not mistaken, and they basically, through a contract, fooled the man into, he never signed it, but they somehow fooled him into getting the paper, and they took the land. Now, in a certain part of the documentary, the European man is talking about where he wants to put things once they wipe the land.
Wipe it.
And then his daughter was like, well, I feel we should put a basketball court right here.
Yeah.
I feel we should put an ice cream shop right here. And I watched it, and I left at my sister
because she wanted ice cream.
It's like, so your child who's like 7 or 8 has the authority to put whatever she wants on our people's land just because she says, well, daddy, I want this here. It's like you feel like you have that ability to do so. It's like, that's not yours. And like watching stuff like that, like you get angry. Like I was watching it and like we were eating while I was watching it. I couldn't finish eating. I had to put my plate down and just kind of take a minute because I was like, this is, yeah, it's like, did you hear what he just said? His daughter asked him. And it shows you how they view our people. It's like, if we're not making a difference for our people, I mean, honestly, nobody else is. Because it's like, it's sad to say, and we don't do anything because we're trying to stir up people to basically revolt against those of European, ethnicity at all. But whenever you hear about them saying they want to help our people, I always ask, why? What are you doing? Yes, what are you doing over there? Because you'll always end up finding out later on, somebody's children are going missing after these Christians, what do they call them? These Christian missionaries are going over there talking to the children, helping them, giving them clothes. What is you giving them clothes have anything to do with you taking them somewhere and children end up missing? If you give them clothes, where are the children going? And so it's like, it just is.
It's an all-around issue. Yes. It's a big issue. And like we say, if you can't do anything else but bring people to an awareness of what is going on, then that right there is a key factor of basically development, awareness. I mean, everybody has to start with a step in awareness. If that's all you can do is know and tell somebody else, then you understand the situation that's at hand with a lot of our people in many parts of Africa. And there's one thing I can't negate, and I don't even propagate negating what's going over there. Don't turn a deaf ear to the cry. I mean, come on. Some of those children cannot basically cry out for themselves for help because the situation that they're in. I mean, they barely have electricity. I mean, come on. Let's get real. I mean, there's even some Africans that I deal with, and they told me basically how some of the, not so much power plants, but how electricity works over there. There's like a system where they'll have electricity a day, they won't have electricity a day, they'll have electricity for like 3 days, and then the next thing you know, they don't have electricity. So while we have it every day, unless your power is turned off because of a missed light bill, they don't have it 24/7. And I'm not talking about to play games, I'm not talking about to do things like that. I mean, because playing games, leisure, nobody's knocking that. But these people need it for livelihood. I mean, basically, I mean, we've been living off electricity for many of years. But basically, when time, in modern time, when basically time has scaled up to where everything that we rely on is technology now, then that's when it comes into play where technology is a necessity for how they live over there. Basically, how was it colonization, where they basically amped up the living over there, where now you need electricity for certain things. It's not like everybody's living in the farm life over there. Some people need the electricity over there.
Some people are, believe it or not, prohibited from having a farm life. And they make you have to live on a grid, have to live on electricity, and you have to work a certain way. And like the way they work sometimes, like, is via internet.
Yes, thank you.
Their jobs are not over there where they are sometimes. Their jobs consist of being over here in the U.S. So where if you don't have internet...
telemarketers that we hear?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'm sure everybody knows about telemarketers.
That's why in all honesty, sometimes you have to be careful how you address them, because sometimes, like, even with, when I was looking into it, when a brother was telling me about getting your business through Amazon, that Amazon basically has your, what is it? They're not your they're your workers. And you basically get workers from, they say the third world countries, because you can pay them cheaper. And they said the cost of living is basically cheaper, but they need it more so in the third world countries. So if you go through Amazon, basically have your representatives to be foreigners.
Yeah.
Because you have to pay them less. And they're basically the ones that basically handle the phone calls. They handle different things like that. And so you have to understand, some of them are actually just working for people over here in America and to make their livelihood. Because remember, American currency is much more expensive and is more valuable in other countries. China, Africa, and many other places. Canada. The currency here is worth more in different countries, but over here it seems like it's still not worth nothing. But it is.
Right?
I mean,
it's like they
kinda, you know.
Other countries can make a major living off of our currency, but sometimes we can't even make a decent living off of our currency. Like, what? I mean, seriously. So they can be rich off of our dollar while we have a dollar and we struggling. It's like, oh my, yeah.
Well, we were basically we're bringing up awareness, and in our bringing up awareness, we were talking about basically maturity.
Yeah.
We're saying that if they can come together in Fambo Talk, which is family talk, in a documentary where the Hutu and the Tutsi will keep bringing up those names till we drive them in your head.
Yeah.
Because that is basically what our drive was to even talk about this. When we saw those documentaries, our hearts bled, our hearts cried, our eyes cried. We felt their pain. We watched it. We laughed with them. When they laughed, we cried. When they cried, trust, I'm not ashamed to say I cried when I watched it, because it's not. This is not a movie. This is not. Well, some of these scenes may be too graphic, because no, this is real. They were graphic, but guess what? It was real. And even though some of those scenes you don't want to look at, I look at them because I'm like, I may not have been there, but let me experience this with them by just partaking in this documentary. Yeah. But we were saying how they handle situations. They come together and talk. How a lot of our people handle situations, they kind of make a video about it and then put it up who they're mad at. No, these people in Fembot Talk were literally victims of rape. They were victims of they were castrated. Some of them, their limbs cut off, murder. They're victims of this, and they have to come together to the person that killed them, to the person that have done so many things. So why don't we help them thrive by giving them the dollar and they give us good services? Now that sounds like an exchange, because there are actually some people that do that. Send money down there so they can get it's not so much bartering, but actually it is, because the U.S. dollar is not the African dollar. But they're actually people that do that. They pay to get imported food from Africa, and that is a very good idea. That's very resourceful.
Yeah, that is. I mean, it's great that she brought that out. Thank you. Yeah. And I would love to be able to do stuff like that, and find out how we can do it to where it won't be tampered with. Yeah. How we can do it from us straight to them, without people acting like, well, we have to check your money, and then they don't end up getting it. Because we've heard things like that where people were asking in different countries, like that. They were asking for financial help, and they could send stuff, in return, but they were like, stuff wasn't going through. There's like something between, here and there is not meeting its destination. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, that's good. But been able to give them that, because then it's like, they can take that and thrive off of that, and then we can take the goods and resources and start showing our people here, okay, start growing your fruit. You don't have to go and get this GMO stuff that's in the stores, because that most likely is not going to grow. You cannot grow something that's genetically modified. It's like trying to grow a clone of something. Like, you can't, and if it doesn't have seed, but that is good. That is a good idea, because basically it will build it will build a relationship with those outside of the country, and it will build like a trust. It's like, we're here to help and exchange. They say nothing's free. Well, this is an exchange, but it's more so to help you. And that's a brilliant idea. And it's like it's minds like this that we need to come together to basically understand the struggle and understand that there is something called resolution. And there's something called beef, but the only beef that I know about is the beef that's on my plate that I'm supposed to eat. Right. That's the only beef that I want to be dealing with. Nobody wants to have you beefing with somebody over the internet. That's not beef. That's if I'm beefing with you, it's because I'm fixing you a plate of spaghetti, or I'm fixing you a burger.
I'm fixing you a burger.
Right? That's why I'm beefing with you. But it's like, I mean, if I have a problem, it's like, I know how to go to you. It's like, we should know how, even if it's not just, two people. Like, if it's two people with an issue, have somebody else with you, other people, that can be there, that'll listen and, be able to listen, and take turns, talking. It's like, I don't have to talk over you. It's like, I'll let you state. It's like, okay, well, like, what is your problem with me? It's like, where have I wronged you? You share, and then I share. It's like, okay, well, I feel you could have did this in a different manner. It's like, okay, well, we see where we see differently. And, we can move on from there. And it may seem like to a lot of people, well, that's impossible. We can't do it, because all we want to do is argue. Well, if all you want to do is be antagonistic, then you can continue, your little patootie in the other direction. We don't have time for that. We do have, our people that are out here still starving. Our people are still homeless.
Dying.
Our people are still dying. There are still our people going missing. And us, arguing about things isn't going to get
It's not
them
gonna get it
anywhere.
done.
It's not going to get them homes. It's not going to get them families. It's not going to get them fed. It's not going to get them healed of these sicknesses that's been given to them.
It's not.
And they point that out oh so much in the documentaries of how that one it was one young man whose mother had become sick because she was raped, and they don't know what kind of sickness she had, but she was so little, she couldn't do anything. She could barely talk, and like you could see it in his face, like all he could do was just be by her side. And it was like, I mean, this is something that's major for our people.
Yeah.
Something that they're still continually going through, and it needs to be, brought aware to. It may seem like, well, all this stuff is just so negative. It's like, well, I mean, that sometimes, like, we have to point that out. It's like,
I don't know what to put the Band-Aid on.
Thank you. We can't solve a problem if we don't know the solution. It's like, I can't. It's like if I don't know where you're hurting,
the
like
babies.
Yeah,
I hurt. Say,
Yeah.
where, honey? Where do you hurt?
Yeah, it's like if I don't know that you have a cut on your leg, me just jumping to the conclusion I'm going to give you CPR. That's not going. I mean, that's not.
No.
You're trying to bring a solution. Yes, that's a solution, but that's not the solution to this problem.
Thank you.
And so it's like we have to know the problem and be able to bring a solution, once we fully understand the problem, once we fully understand what can be done, how can we target this, and how can we truly understand what the problem is, and how can we come together with a solution, as Brother T-Duck did,
Yes.
coming up with that and bringing that out. It's like, I mean, that alone is a solution.
That is.
It's a start to be able to, do something. I mean,
Yeah.
you see what happens when we come together and we get to talk about things. It's like it stirs things, in us, and so where we can encourage and influence one another to start thinking, okay, well, what can we do? It's like if we have something that they can use and they have something we can use, how can we, put this together to make this work? How can we connect this and allow this river to flow properly, and then not be backed up and ineffective, but being able to bring awareness to this,
Absolutely.
stuff excites me, like being able to come together and, and bring this out, and then have people that do want to bring a solution to this problem, that right there, like that puts a smile on my face, like that makes me happy, because it's like our people, we are a great people.
Yes.
There is much wealth in us as a people, and a lot of our people can't see it, but so we'll be able to show them.
Yeah, what people just can't see and can't grasp, you just simply have to show them with your lifestyle. Like you said, living righteously, showing them, I don't have to argue with you, but I can let my life living be an example to you. If you don't want to hear me verbally, then just look at my life, okay? Because I don't have to prove it to you that way, and then it's just going to result in altercations and arguments. But with that being said, we didn't want to go over 6 o'clock, and it's 6:17 here in South Carolina, where I am Big Fab.
And I am Lil Fab.
Also known as Amani or Imuna or Warrior.
Or Yasmin, Fuego Fiori.
We just, we were starting off doing a test, and because we're going to be doing more of our vlog talks like this, going live. And I think it's something that we can do and get used to, where we can see the actual live feedback and, just start. We're not trying to, one of the things we're not trying to do, we're not trying to trend, we're not trying to be in competition with anybody. That's not what we're doing, because I have lately been seeing, kind of videos where people are going against each other. And that's one of the things I didn't want to bring my sister into anything like that, to where now, you're getting on something and now it comes competition because of maybe your gender or maybe your age or maybe your goal, and that's not one of the things that we want to do. Like they say, we come in peace. We come in peace. We don't come with altercations. We're not trying to take anything, but we're just trying to add to the table. That's what we're trying to do. Oh yes, yeah, we about to go in just a minute. And
Crying.
But it was been fun, and like I say, with experience, you get used to things like this. We've always, since we were younger, wanted a show. It just was like, I'm too shy, I don't want to go in there. But it's like something in you that you always want. I've always wanted to motivate the people. We've always wanted to do stuff together. It was like when we're younger, because we wanted to be twins. We're only like 14 months apart. 19?
19, a year and 7 months, 19.
19 months apart. I only have about a year. And when we were younger, we wanted to do everything together. We even wanted to be twins, and so
dress alike.
We dress alike. We still dress alike when they have grown women outfits, I guess. But one of the things that we said was our relationship will never be broken. Our bond that we have, the love that we have for one another, will never ever be broken. Because it's like, I mean, I'm your sister, I'm your blood sister, and nobody should look after my sister more than I look after my little sister. And nobody should try to take care of my sister more than I take care of my sister. And I mean, in the sister status, not things like that, but nobody can take that place of big sister. Nobody can take that place of little sister. And it starts at home and it spreads abroad. And if I love my blood sister like this, and we have this relationship, then when you get older, you understand you can have a love for basically others that come into a family, and you show that love and you'll show that support. And with that being said, it is 6:20. Thank you for everyone that tuned in.
Thank you so much.
We got some good feedback for the first one, and this was just a test, so that was good. And we look to talk about more topics like this. Resolution. Please, people. I mean, I don't know who may all go back and watch the video, but please, resolution.
And awareness.
And maturity. Because as a generation that's coming up in our 20s, we look at people in their 30s and their 40s that are coming up the generation. Our generation looks to you for answers. And we look not just so much in ourselves. Hey! What's happening? That is our brother. We look for people... we're looking for answers, and we're looking for basically a common union. And that's your scripture. that's your theme scripture. And it's a beautiful thing, and it excites us and motivates us to see the great feedback. And like you say, you gotta be prepared for the bad feedback too. We prepared for that, but we just basically rejoice in the good feedback, and you don't major on the minor.
Right.
And we thank you, the Face Yahoo, T-Duck. We had the other brother come in. Can you see that? Aaron came in. And anytime, I'll say the first part of his name. Anytime came in, and and so we're glad for the feedback that we have, the laughs that we have, because we just try to be, we're not trying to be ourselves, we're being ourselves. No fronting here, and that's one of the things. Be yourself, bring the solution, bring your options to the table, weigh them out, balance it out. Is this good? Is that bad? And that's what you do. And that's our big brother and support. So it's been fun. We have reached the hour marker, and that is our first. So I mean, it's good like that, because with the video editor that I have, I can't edit hour long. So live streams are good.
Yeah.
And we can see we're gonna be doing this a lot more. And so with that being said, we've had a good time. Resolution. Just remember resolution.
And awareness.
And awareness. Peace out.
Shalom.
Shalom.